Hi, this is Tim Myers. I'm the owner of Ascenda Music Publishing, and I have here with me today Dan Barrett, who is a trombone professor at the University of Maine. And he has some publications that will be released very shortly on the Ascenda Music website. And I thought we would just talk a little bit today because Dan, as far as I know, has done most of his arranging for trombone groups of various sizes, and and also, as far as I know, um, he is mainly a trombonist and does this because, well, that's what we're going to find out. So, welcome, Dan.
Thank you, Tim.
Yeah. If if you can just start by saying, well, how did you get into this arranging business?
Okay, well, I think that when I was growing up, I had an older brother who plays the trumpet, and a couple of brass players in the house, and so we were aware of brass quintet recordings. We had some Empire brass and Canadian brass and things like that, and we were aware that these groups were transcribing and arranging all sorts of interesting stuff, and I think it was so I was kind of messing with that idea long before I had any arranging chops or really had a grasp of the aesthetics of it. But I think it was probably when I was in college, and then there was an actual trombone choir that I started thinking about. Turns out every piece of music that sticks in my head for a while is working its way towards a trombone choir arrangement.
I kind of know that feeling, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So
did you have any other did you study it formally, or did you have people who inspired you?
I think that I largely just started when I was, as I said, too young to know the difference between, just out of this sheer curiosity. Oh, look, it turns out this is possible. Let's get some staff paper and try some stuff.
Yeah.
And there's a certain logic to, taking a piano piece and figuring out, well, two trumpets here, horn here, trombone here, tuba's got the bass notes, and so it was fun to kind of see things sort of land on the page that way. And then, of course, there's some more advanced concepts that I largely had to kind of figure out and glean. I never had any formal training in arranging.
But there's a lot that can be learned from just keeping your ears open and seeing what other people have done.
Yeah, and I was always surprised sometimes when I'd hear some of these great quintet recordings and check out the scores. Things like how little they could get away with at times, you know?
You mean what they could leave out?
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
yeah.
Turns out you don't have to have all five instruments playing all the time, and in an octet or something like that, turns out you can, and the players appreciate a break actually occasionally. And
Well, that's it. Not only appreciate, but I mean, with certain parts, kind of necessary, just to even if it's half a measure or a measure. Um,
yeah, and it took me a while to recognize concepts like, you know, in an orchestra of 60 to 80 players or something. Um, in the score, it'll go down to a small group at times. There,
ah,
there'll be portions of the piece where there's probably not more than 20 players playing stretched across the orchestra, and the difference between the full tutti orchestra and these smaller moments is significant. And you have to find a way to replicate that at times in an ensemble of five or eight or something like that. You have
right.
to, I think,
So really, I mean, you have to think of it as orchestration.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
not just grab all the parts, throw them on the staffs, fill it all up, and Hope it works.
Right.
You're really crafting something.
You have to account for the forces, what kind of
Yeah.
force you're going to use from one section to the other, and the contrast between sounds.
So you mentioned the forces, and you are at the University of Maine, and I guess you have a pretty large trombone studio, but when you
Well, not
arrange,
large, no.
it's not large.
No, we usually have 5 to 10 low brass majors at a given time, and always trying to grow it to a larger number. But some years it's not.
Do you
And
have um, um, in a trombone choir, if you run a trombone choir, I think that's one of the things you do. Do you have participants outside of the music majors?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
we anybody is welcome, and we try to pull everybody we can in, and build the best group we can. My colleague Dr. David Stern directs the group, and I get to play in it more than conduct, but I'll do some arranging for it as well, and yeah, and people from the community, music majors, non-music majors.
So you might have varying levels of commitment or skill on the instrument. Is that right?
That's right, and that really plays into when I'm doing an arrangement for this ensemble. Uh, some years ago, I kind of started this model in my head of, let's see, I can do three really advanced tenor parts,
Uh-huh.
and then three fairly simple tenor parts that are never going to touch tenor clef or anything like that. And then I'll have one fairly complex tuba slash bass trombone, whatever the ensemble has at the moment, and then another fairly simple part like that. And that model kind of it was a successful model for the setting here. Sometimes it would be a total of 10 or 12, sometimes maybe only six, but the idea that I better write for the players that I have.
Yes. Well, but you know what? That could translate to lots of other situations too, because
Sure.
I'm discovering as I'm spending a little more time on social media to try to connect with people, there are a lot of uh, amateurs, people who had careers in other things and then came back to the trombone that's my bird is unhappy.
Oh, nice.
um, Came back to the trombone at an at a later at a after they retired or something.
Sure.
Um, so yeah, I think that that's a pretty interesting thing that you figured out there. That was uh, my own arranging for the trombones of the St. Louis Symphony kind of didn't. I mean, I tried to write for the players, but then again, I had advanced players, and then I can't really expect a lot of that stuff to be played by amateur groups, for instance, you know. So as far as publishing things, I need to think about that. So
Well,
I'm
that is a luxury. I mean, when I was in living in Utah and got to play in Rusty McKinney's uh, Utah's Ultimate Trombone Ensemble with
oh yeah,
basically all the professional players in the Salt Lake area, and we felt like, I mean, everyone was writing. Jim Nova was writing a ton of stuff. Rusty was writing, and a bunch of the players were just writing really hard charts, and we would just play it. It was fantastic. But I realized that those trombone choirs are rare,
uh-huh,
uh,
yeah,
and
yeah.
you maybe can't sustain a publishing company just providing for groups at that level, uh,
Well, that yeah.
or a career as an arranger or something. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So, so tell me about you shared a whole bunch of things with me that I've taken a look at, uh,
Mm.
and we're going to publish an arrangement that you made that's actually done very cleverly of a Brahms piano rhapsody, um,
Uh,
and uh, and then also the pines near a catacomb from Pines of Rome or Speaky Pines of Rome with percussion, which is
Mhm.
pretty cool. Um, and tell me what other things you're thinking about. Do you have other projects in mind or things that you've started that you're going to finish, or tell me what's going on.
Well, yeah, I think that I have a fairly large folder of charts that have been played at some point over the years, and I don't have a ton of. I mean, I've got a folder of works in progress that, some of them were just not great ideas, so they never got finished, and some will require more time than I have in the foreseeable future. Uh, but I think, I'm largely at this point going through those good ones that have been played and that worked, and going through and re-editing and making multi-track recordings of. I play all the parts, and I usually find a ton of stuff in the process of laying those
Oh,
parts down.
you play it yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I'll go through and play all the parts myself, phrase by phrase, and try and get a decent recording. And I usually make a lot of changes
Yeah.
because sometimes that's the first time I played any of the parts. Sometimes I was
Yes.
conducting and working with a computer.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
there's a Bach piece. Uh, I'm trying to remember what cantata it's from. But if I had time to really knock out another, um, I think I would get into this. Nun ist das Heil und die Kraft, uh, from a Bach cantata,
Yeah.
and it's a great piece. I started a thing on that, and it probably needs 16 parts or something because it's got
Oh.
double choir and strings and trumpets and everything. And I don't know, but that's something I could really envision becoming a great. I mean, it's a great work.
Yeah. Wow.
I don't know if it'll happen anytime
Yeah.
soon.
Well, terrific. I really appreciate the chance to talk to you. We've actually not met
Right? Yeah.
so that we could see each other until just today. We've been
Yeah.
communicating by email, but
Uh-huh.
it's really great to talk to you, and I appreciate your doing this, and I hope to work with you more, and maybe we'll have another chat soon.
Sounds good, Tim. Thank you very
Great.
much.
Thanks a
Great.
lot.
Thanks.